Hey everybody, Tim here with tonight's episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 3, Episode 16, Offspring. So right off the bat, this episode was directed by Jonathan Frakes, the actor that plays Riker. Now, Leonard Nimoy directed 2 of the movies, and William Shatner directed 1 movie. But this is the first time that a person of the cast, has directed an episode of the series. Personally, I think Jonathan Frakes is a great director. He directs several more episodes. He directs episodes of Voyager. He's directing episodes of Discovery now. He did 2 of the movies. He's a phenomenal director. I really, really like his work. You can kind of tell that this was his first time, though, just because Riker's not really in the series, or in this episode. He's only in 2 very, very brief scenes. So overall, this episode by itself, though, it's a really interesting episode. It's almost a remake of last season's episode, Measure of a Man. So that episode was all about whether or not Data was sentient or not. And then the Federation basically took him to court to say, we own you and we're going to take you apart. And Data's like, no you don't. So it's almost a remake of that one. In this one, Data has decided to create a daughter, another android. And so in doing so, he shows her all the human interactions that he's encountered, and she seems to actually be adapting it quicker. In one example, she uses contractions while talking to Guinan, and they say in the episode that that's something Data can't even do yet. So I'm a little bit ahead of myself. So it's kind of interesting to first start this one, because when they name her Lull, which I think is funny, just because looking at it from now, it's Lull. They say it's Hindi for beloved, which is kind of funny to me, since Troy calls Riker Imzadi, which is Betazoid for beloved. So Lull is going through trying to pick what race and gender that it wants to be. And it's kind of flipping through, and at one point it's narrowed down to 4, and one of the choices is an Andorian. And I kind of had to pause it and rewind it, because at least the one I'm looking at, the Andorian's actually like a green color. It's not the blue Andorians from the original series. So that was kind of interesting. I think that was like just a technical error, but I don't know. So she ends up going with a human female as her skin, her persona. And during the episode, she's teamed up with Guinan a lot. So I was doing some research on this episode. I guess at one point, Guinan had a line that said, when a man and woman are in love, but Whoopi Goldberg refused to say it and wanted to change it to when 2 people are in love, because it's Star Trek and it should be all-inclusive. Now, when I was watching it, I don't know if I missed it or what, but I never heard her say either version of those lines. So if you guys picked up on it, go ahead and let me know exactly where it is, because I would love to watch that segment. And so it's throughout the episode, like I said, it's kind of like Measure of a Man. An admiral comes to the Enterprise and is basically like, oh, your android made a child. It's mine now. We're going to take it apart and see how it works. And Data brings up all sorts of points like, why do they think I'm a bad parent when they don't know? Or if this admiral has children, what was he like with his first kid? And it kind of becomes whether or not Lull has the right to exist or not. So I like all of that. And you see Picard jeopardize his career, and he's like, you're not taking Lull. Like, this is Data's daughter, and that's it. And so I think this episode is really interesting all the way through, up until the end, because you finally get to that point where it comes down to either they're going to like fire Picard, take Lull, and just all hell's going to break loose, or what's going to happen. And unfortunately, this ending kind of has a cop-out where it's really unfortunate for Lull, because they end up killing her. The circuitry in her neural cortex, whatever, basically can't keep up, and it falls apart. The Admiral and Data both team up together to try to repair it. And that's the best scene, is the Admiral talking about like how fast Data's hands moved trying to keep Lull alive, but they still couldn't do it. It's really sad and it's really interesting, but it's such a cop-out that they were like, well, shit, do we keep this as a main character from now on? Do we give her to the Federation? Like, what do we do? Well, we'll just kill her off. it's really unfortunate, but it is an interesting episode. It also kind of reminds me of the season 2 premiere, The Child, where Troy gets impregnated, and then again, by the end of the episode, the child ends up dying. So now both Troy and Data, I guess, have that in common. It's an interesting episode, and I really like it. I just don't care for the ending. If you guys have seen it, what do you guys think? Do you wish Lul had continued on the show as a main character? Are you glad they got rid of her? What do you guys think? Do you guys think this is a remake of Measure of Man? Go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for the subscriptions and everything. Thank you guys for the comments, and I will see you guys next time for the Klingon episode, Sins of the Father.